Hello again everybody, Boyd here with you and welcome back. This is part 3 of our Polar Lights 350 scale Enterprise refit build. And we're back to work on the bench again today, and we're adding some LEDs to start with on our saucer today, guys. And I'm going to take you through what I'm doing here on this. And then a little bit later today we're going to be going and doing some work with our photo etch parts here. We're going to start off with adding our photo etch detail here at the back part here at the officer's lounge. And we're going to show you how we work those in on this and do a nice job on that for you today. Let's get into the LED lighting here to begin with here, guys. I'm going to tighten up on the picture here just a little bit for you. And starting off here, you can see I've got a couple of LEDs made up. These are 1.8 millimeter LEDs, and I've soldered onto each one of these a 470 ohm 1/4 watt resistor, which is perfect for each one of these LEDs. And these particular ones here have the tip that's been extended on it just a little bit. I'm going to get here on the center of the picture here for you and tighten up on this so you can see those clearly. And these are I'm going to be using for my strobe light locations. Actually, just the white marker light locations on the saucer here. The only strobe that we have is at the top of the bridge on the saucer section of this particular model. The other white lights are all supposed to be just strobing at the same rate as the navigational lights. But I'll be using these because they fit in the original holes here that are already on the model just exactly right, and they wind up lining up there so that they're not protruding out of the top of the model. And we're going to show you a picture here along the line of the studio model, the Enterprise refit as she was seen at the Christie's auction, and I'm going to show you an up-close picture of the one of the navigation light locations, and you can see that your LED should be slightly recessed in that hole there. You shouldn't have any LEDs, sticking up above the surface. All the lighting in the model was actually recessed. And you also want to do that to keep it looking nice and in scale and not overly bright and things like that. So let's talk a little bit more about what we've been doing to start with here. You can see that what I've got in place is I've got these 5 millimeter yellow SMDs, or I'm sorry, LEDs that have been mounted in place on each corner where we have the thruster locations on the saucer. And I've done something interesting here, guys. What I've done is I've used a piece of thick sprue, as you can see here in this shot, and I've mounted this LED so it's elevated a little bit off of the floor of the saucer. And I'm doing that for a particular reason. We're going to be using one LED here to illuminate both the top and the bottom of the RCS thrusters, and so I want these LEDs to be sort of like right in the middle of the whole area here, so we get equal amount of light going from the top to the bottom. We don't want it to be brighter on the top than it is on the bottom, so I found out that these thick sprues that come with this kit gave me the perfect spacing here, so I just cut a piece out on each side here and glued that down, and with some CA here to tack it in place real quick. We're going to come back on each one of these locations with some hot glue and glue all these in place to finish it off. But what I've also done to these LEDs is I've sanded each one of them all the way around the edges and through the tip. And what that does to your LED is it gives it more of a wide beam. It makes the light come out of there and spread in all directions rather than being just kind of focused and coming out of the tip here. So that's going to give me some nice lighting coming out the top and also out the sides of the RCS thrusters. If you know, there are like 3 little points of light on each spot on the top of the saucer and also on the bottom. So that's going to be our lighting for that. We've done that in all 4 locations here. I've got to come back, as I said, and hot glue all these in. Here on the each corner here, I've got my red and my green. I used some more of these 1.8 millimeter LEDs here in red and green for my navigation lights, making sure I got my red navigation light on the port side and my green on the starboard. And so we've got that in place. Again, we've just used a little bit of CA glue to tack these down. Same type of resistor has been soldered onto this, which is a 1/4 watt 470 ohm, which will be perfect for these. And so right now what I'm getting ready to do is I've got these 1.8 millimeter white LEDs that I'm going to be gluing in here right next to our impulse deck. And I'm just going to lay these in here. You can see they kind of stand up by themselves because they've got that nice extended tip that goes through that hole really nicely. And I'm just going to be tacking these in real quick with a dab of CA glue here and some kicker. So let me get this done really quick. Now as I get a little bit farther along, guys, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be coming back and showing you how I wire all these up using this magnetic wire that I use all the time. And you guys have all asked about that, so we'll take you through that in detail as well. And when we get ready to wire this all and connect it to our control board, which will run all this lighting. And the same thing when we do our strip lighting with our LED strip lighting tape. We'll show you where we place that and how do you hook all that up. Okay, we've got those two at the rear, and then we've got one at the very front of the saucer that we're all familiar with here. So let's go ahead and get that one put in place here. Again, talking about these lights, I've gone in and had a look at the, I always check on these model projects to make sure all my lighting's the way I want it to be, and I went in and checked looking at the movie, Star Trek the Motion Picture, and again, they changed some of the lighting on this model as it went along. When we get into the secondary hull here, we'll see that the blinking lights that they had at the tail near the shuttle bay, on the top part of the shuttle bay, just above the shuttle bay doors. On Star Trek the Motion Picture, if you're doing the refit model, that particular light above the shuttle bay there did not blink, and some of you may not have noticed that before. Later on in the films, actually in parts of Star Trek 2 and then from Star Trek 3 onward, the Enterprise has a blinking light there, and it also has a blinking light at the bottom below the fantail. So that's a little bit of a difference there, but on the original refit, if you look at the film, you'll notice that there's no blinking lights there at all. They're just constantly on. So we're going to copy that effect when we do our build here, because this will be the refit, like we talked about. So as you can see here, guys, we've got, now that these have been sitting in here long enough, I can kind of bend these leads over here on my LEDs and get these worked in. Got this one here that came loose on me, but as I mentioned, I'm going to be hot gluing all these in place here. So I'll go off camera for a second, guys, and I'm going to get my hot glue gun warmed up, and we're going to come back here in just a second and we'll go over hot gluing these all down. So I'll be right back with that, guys. Here we are back again, everybody, and I've just been going around with my hot glue gun and just tacking these LEDs all in place now. And I've got everything setting in here really good. I'll get you a little closer to this. Sorry for the back and forth on the zoom here thing, guys, but hopefully this will get you closer so you can see what we've been doing here. We've just tacked all the leads down on all these LEDs so that they won't move on us, and everything is in there nice and tidy and looking good. What I'll do for you here real quick, guys, is I'm going to hook up our power here, which I'm running this little power supply, and I'm running this at 9.3 volts, which will be my power supply that I'll be using for lighting the model when we're all finished with it. And I'll carefully flip this over here for you so you can see our red navigate. Oop, I lost my connection there. Let me hook this back up real quick, guys. We're running this these little 1.8 millimeter LEDs here, and let me go ahead and close up on this for you here a little bit and get it centered. And as you can see, this gives us a nice in-scale look, guys. The model itself, the actual studio model, did not have these big, bulbs sticking up on the top side here. They're actually recessed into the hole just a little bit there, and you should not see a big, glowing red or green effect coming around that light when it's blinking. It's just, they're there to be noticeable, but not overpoweringly so, and that's one of the things you think about when you do these scale models, trying to keep your lighting nice and in scale and not glowing too bright and glaring too much. You can see that it looks just right if we start turning some of the lights down here, and that will look absolutely perfect when we get this all set up. So that's that, guys. So what we're going to be doing next is we're going to start working in our Let me turn this power off real quick. We're going to start working in our officer's lounge window here, here at the rear with our photo etch. And I've got a little sequence that we'll take you through, because what we want to do on this is we want to make sure that this window is mounted in here flush. You don't want to, lots of guys just, glue it over the top of the thing, and they just kind of go with it like that, and I just don't think that looks very clean. It looks a lot nicer if it's all mounted in there nice and flush and fitting in there flat, so that when we paint it and everything, we see no edges or anything like that. And so there's a little bit of fitting and filing that's required to do to get this in here just right. And we're going to take you through that right now. So let me get everything out here, all my tools and everything. And we'll be back here in just a second, and we'll be ready to go with that. So hold tight, guys. We'll be right back. Okay, everybody. Well, here we go. We're getting to work with our photo etch parts here today. And one very important step that we want to do to these parts before we begin using them is a process that we call annealing. And what annealing means is that we're going to be applying some heat onto these parts to relieve the spring tension that's inherent in these brass parts. And explained very simply, these brass parts, what happens is when you try to bend these and shape these, they have a spring tension that's in them that will make it more difficult to work and retain the shapes that we create once we bend and shape these into the way that we want them. And an old trick that a lot of people have been doing for a long time is applying some heat onto these, heating them up fairly good, and then letting them cool down, and it relieves a lot of that spring tension, so that what we have in the end is we're able to work with these parts and shape them and have them retain their shape much better and allow us to achieve our task much easier. So I've got this little portable propane bottle here. Well, we've made sure that we've it doesn't put out that much of a flame, but we've made sure that we've moved all of our flammable things out of the area here in the immediate vicinity. And I've got this piece of ceramic tile that I keep handy for doing this particular type of a job here, and it's heat resistant, so we can heat this up and not worry about burning my mat or anything nearby. Now my propane bottle here is getting a little bit low, so hopefully it won't cut out on us while we're doing this, but I may have to try this a couple of times here before we get the job complete. We'll just get this fired up, and then we just basically wave it over it. You can see the reaction going on there on the brass. It slightly bows and bends a little bit. Now we don't need to super heat this, like if you see a little discoloration going on it, it's not hurting it at all. And we're just making sure we give it a nice go through here and get it all nice and heated up. And you can literally see that heat there is causing the reaction to happen there, and we're getting our effect that we wanted to do. So when we're done, when this is all cooled off, we'll have relieved a lot of that spring tension in these brass parts. And again, it hasn't hurt them at all. There's just a discoloration on there that'll wipe right off. The areas that you saw it changing color mostly was maybe it had a little bit of oil or something on it. But I'll let this cool off for a few seconds, and then we're going to come back and cut out our officer's lounge frame right here, the window frame, and then we're going to come back and start working it into the saucer top, guys. So I'll be right back with that in just a second. Okay, everybody, well, there's a little step here that I thought I should show that was important to you guys. To remove our parts here, now, a lot of times what I'll do, guys, I'll just use a really good sharp pair of scissors. If there's a part, one of these photo etch parts that's on the outer edges and things like that, that I can get to fairly easily, I'll just use this and literally cut these right out with no problems at all. And cut the little tabs away and things like that. But this particular part here was located fairly in the center of the sheet here, and I didn't want to cut through a whole bunch of other things and possibly risk bending anything. So technique that we use to get that out of there, guys, if you guys are familiar with this, we use a hobby knife, a really good sharp hobby knife, and having it on a nice surface like this that doesn't have any give, because if you're using, like, if you were to cut these out on the mat, you might have a little bit of give going on to it, and it could actually bend the part before it cuts it. So a nice hard surface like this, either like a piece of ceramic like this, or a good hard piece of wood, or even a piece of glass, is what a lot of people prefer to use. And we just go put our blade back and forth over the tab here, just kind of rock it back and forth, and it will cut right through it. And you can see we've got this part removed here now. I thought I'd better show you that step. So we've got this part removed now. Now we can see is I'll go ahead and tighten this up for you here a little bit again. And you can see that we have some small little tiny burrs that are on this part. And there are a lot of different ways to take care of that. One is with some coarse sandpaper or with a file or something like that. But what I prefer to use is my little Dremel tool here. And I found that I can remove these burrs very easily, and whereas filing or sanding, you know, you're going to be pretty rough on the part, and you're going to be doing it for quite a little bit of time, and you have the possibility of bending things. So I use my little Dremel tool here, turning at about number 3 on the speed here. And the trick to this, to make sure you don't cause any damage, is to always stay at the parallel to the part, so that we're not grinding at an angle or hitting at an angle where it might grab and it might twist on it or something. So I'll start with this front edge right here. And just like that, I've already removed that tab, guys. Nice and easy. We're sanding it or filing it. Takes quite a bit longer, and you risk damaging the part with handling it that much. So we've only had 3 little tabs on this part here, so they're already just about gone. We've got 1 left here. Okay, and just like that, guys, that part is cleaned up perfectly, and it looks great. And so we're ready to go. Now what we're going to do now is we're going to bring our saucer back into the picture here, and we're going to lay this up on here. And it's time to zoom out just a little bit. I'm too close. Let's get you centered on the picture here just a little bit better. Get right there where you can see what we're doing here, guys. That should be good. Okay, now the first thing we're going to do is we're going to lay this part up on here and see how it fits. You can see that we've got good clearance for the top and the bottom, but that on the sides here, it's obviously overhanging by quite a bit on each side. So what I'm going to do is take my pencil and mark this, just a little line on each side to give us a location where it's at. And that's going to give me a rough estimate of where I want to remove some material. Now what I'm going to do is I don't want to remove quite that much material from this, so I'm going to just take and snip just a little bit off the edges here, so I don't have to go quite that far. And just like that, we've got that perfect. Okay, and that's going to help me quite a bit. Alright, now using my original marks here, I'm going to go back and lay it on here again. And I can see that I've already shaved off quite a bit on that. So I'm going to make a second mark now. And this is going to give me a rough estimate of how much material I'm going to need to remove. Okay, so there we are with that, guys. Now what we're going to do here is we're going to start off with these little hobby files that I've got here. Grab the right one. We're going to start off with this one here, which is just a basic flat file, and we're going to start filing this out. Now this is a tedious procedure, but you want it to be tedious, guys. You want to go a little bit at a time. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to keep filing a little bit and filing a little bit on each side here until we actually get it to the point where our window frame will just, with a little bit of effort, sit down in there flush and mat up with these edges here. So let me work on that. Just a little bit here. It actually doesn't take that long. This file will cut through this plastic pretty fast. Again, the trick is here, when you start getting in the neighborhood of where your marks are, you want to start slowing down on your filing because you don't want to file too much. We can always go back and add a little bit of filler in there if we have to, but we want to file this to where it's just about right on the money here. And we'll start taking the piece itself, the window frame, and test fitting it in there. I don't want to bore you guys with a bunch of this filing, so I'm going to file away on it here a little bit, and when I get close, I'll bring you back on the scene here, and we'll show you how everything's working out on this and actually laying the frame in the opening there, guys. So we'll be right back with that in just a second. everybody, well here I'm back again, and I've just been filing away here, being very careful, as I said, filing a little bit, test fitting and filing and test fitting, and we've got our window looking really good here, guys. In fact, it's so close that I had to be really careful for it not to fall all the way through here, but I'm going to lay this on here for you, and hopefully it'll sit, and I'll tighten up on the shot here for you. And you can see that we are perfectly flush here now, and we're not going to have any lip or any ridge sticking up at all. We're down in the slot there just like we want to be, and so when we put a little bit of filler on this and sand this, it's going to look beautiful and perfectly smooth, guys. So I have a little trick that I use for attaching this on here now. So what I'm going to be doing, guys, is let me back up just a little bit for you here. I'm going to be using some masking tape, and we'll basically tape this in place here on the front, and making really sure that it doesn't move on us. And we've got that held in place now, exactly flush and exactly where we want it. And we can look at it here from the back side, and we can see that it's looking really good. I'm going to use my fingers and push this up against it to make sure we're really perfect. And then I'm going to take and just put a couple of drops of CA glue on this here, guys, on the back side. Just to tack it in place. And I got a little dab there. And I got a little dab there. Okay, we're going to use a toothpick to flatten this out just a little bit here, guys. Am I in the picture for you? No, I moved. Let me see if I can move here a little bit for you. You can see what I'm doing. And I'm going to just flatten this out a little bit with my toothpick. The reason being is that I don't want a big lump in there on the backside when this dries, because when I put my glass in here, I want the glass to be able to sit up against that nice and tight and nice and flush. And just a dab of my kicker here real quick, and we are set. And now we can remove our tape here on the back. As you can see, guys, we've got a really nice looking window frame in there, guys. It's sitting in there perfectly. And again, mentioning that we don't have any ridge sticking up here on the sides. It's all nice and flush. I can run my finger over this smooth, and we don't have that edge sticking out there. It's going to leave an ugly line on that. So that's it for that, guys. What I'll be doing now is we're going to go in with some of our squadron putty now. Let me get you recentered here. And we're going to lay a bead of squadron putty here on the outside of this. Just along our edges here. And we can come back and sand all this out nice and pretty. Just want to make sure I get it in there. I'm not worried about getting it in the window frames or anything, because I can come back and fill all that, remove that with my hobby knife later as it dries. And this is going to come out beautiful, guys. Just a little blended in here on the top side. Okay, guys, and you can see that's basically it. We'll let this dry really well, and then we'll be coming back and sanding this. I will go in here real quickly and remove a little bit of this excess gunk out of the windows, edges of the frames here, so we get that gone. Okay, guys, that's it. Pretty simple and pretty straightforward. What I'll also do is I'll be going back with some. I prefer to use canopy glue to glue on my photo etch parts for permanent. I'm only using some CA glue, like I said, just to tack these in place. Canopy glue sticks really good to these brass parts, and I'll be gluing that from the back side. And I'm going to do that before I finish off things here today. And I'm going to let this whole thing dry overnight so that it's all nice and solid. Let's tighten up a little bit here on the shot for you. And you can see we've got a nice looking window frame for our officer's lounge, guys, and we'll be repeating the same process when we do our arboretum windows. And we'll have a nice smooth surface there. We won't have any edges or anything, and that's how the model should look when done correctly. So, okay guys, well, I hope you enjoyed this update for our work on our refit. And now I'm going to come back here in just a couple seconds, guys, and show you a nice surprise that we've got our big Star Trek project that arrived at the shop. And we'll be coming back and talking about that and talking about what our plans are for it. So stay tuned for that, guys. We'll be right back. Hey there everybody, I'm back with you, and it's time to reveal our big Star Trek surprise, the one that we've been talking about for months here on the channel. And as you can see, what we've got here is we've got the AMT 1537 scale Reliant. Now it'd be pretty exciting to build another one of these, right? We had a lot of fun building ours about a year ago or so on the channel here. We had a lot of fun and it turned out really nice. And that'd be pretty exciting, right? Well, we've got something a little bit bigger and a little bit bolder in store for you guys. And hold your breath, here it comes. This is the magnificent, and that's the best word I can choose for this, North Star Models Reliant by Dennis DeBoer. Now this is just a phenomenal model, guys. This thing is huge and it's beautifully molded. I have never seen a resin model that was this crisp and this clean. Absolutely fantastic. We're going to be building 2 of these up here for you here on the channel. And this is for my client Jason, and I want to say thank you very much, Jason, for giving me the opportunity to build these for you. Jason has some wonderful plans. He's calling this Project Miranda, which is very fitting since this is a Miranda-class starship. And he's got some wonderful plans for displaying these once I complete them. And he's going to have a blast. I'll let Jason show that to you over on his channel, Droid Builder on YouTube. But you're going to see the entire model built up here on the channel, and we're going to be doing some fantastic lighting on this and some beautiful paint work. We're going to be painting on all the Aztec decals. We're developing custom masks for that. These are truly museum quality, studio quality models, guys, and I'm going to treat these as such. They're absolutely fantastic and completely accurate. I'll just kind of shift it around in the light here a little bit so you can see the phenomenal detail and quality of this model. They're extremely expensive, extremely rare. Dennis has only put out a few of these kits, but they're worth every penny. Now, Dennis uses a very unique system for designing these and building these guys. He uses a laminated system for his mold, and as you can see, what it does is it yields a couple of phenomenal results here. First of all, you get some really crisp, clean detail that way, with none of our usual flaws with pitting and flashing and that going on in the mold. And also it makes it very, very light. This is extremely lightweight. This model is going to be very light considering the size once it's all completed. So that's going to be really nice. And again, I see no flaws in this at all. This is like a giant styrene model, guys. It's just really, really nice. And the fit on this is phenomenal. I've already test fitted this upper section to the lower section, and it fits better than the AMT kit does, which is really saying something for something this large. And so in the next couple of days, I'll be taking the rest of the parts out of the box and showing you guys how those look and get you kind of a good idea of all the parts that are involved in this. There are separate pieces here for the crystal and the bridge and the engine nacelles and the pylons and the roll bar. It's just phenomenal. It comes with some beautiful clear parts in clear resin that are just some of the clearest, nicest resin parts I've ever seen. And so this is great. So guys, we'll be starting on this one right after we finish up our refit, which will be just in a couple of weeks. And this will be a long, drawn-out build process, guys. It's going to take several months to finish it, but it's going to be worth every minute, and I hope you guys will tune in and check it out. I'm really excited about it, like I said, and it's truly one of the biggest projects that I've ever taken on here on the channel. And so again, thanks very much, Jason, and things just keep getting bigger and better here at TrekWorks, guys. So I hope you guys will enjoy it. We're going to have a lot of fun with it, and as I mentioned, we've got a lot of other cool stuff coming down the pipe, guys. We've got the Jupiter 2, which is a big model with a lot of detail that we're going to be doing, and a bunch of other small kits in between, guys. So enjoy it, and we'll see you next time, everybody. So that's a wrap for this video. We'll see you later. Until we do, take care and happy modeling, everybody.